on everyone, if you haven't been keeping up to date, we have finally removed the engine out of the MR2. In today's video, we need to prepare the 3VZ FE to get into the MR2. There's a couple of things we need to do. We need to install the alternator, the starter, and we finally have the wiring harness for the MR2. Massive shout out to Paul Woods for sending me this wiring harness. If you haven't heard already, Woodsport has sponsored this build and has been a great help. And this is the final piece to the puzzle for us to get this engine running. If you've done an engine swap before, you know that the wiring harness is one of the hardest things to modify and get correct for your engine. Luckily, I have a full plug and play wiring harness from Woodsport. Hopefully, if we have no issues, we should be able to put the key in and start the car with absolutely no problems at all. It should allow us to essentially, literally have a plug and play wiring harness, and it will make the whole entire swap easier. Woo. And if you guys ever want to attempt an MR2 engine swap of any sort, make sure you contact Woodsport. They can help you out with anything like this. Paul also sent out a video of him doing the wiring harness. So you guys check this out. This is in the UK, my wiring harness getting done. And what's crazy is I live in Australia, so it's crazy that it happened so far away. Enjoy this. Alright, let's have a look what we have in here. So what you would do is send off both harnesses from each car, both the MR2 and the Camry. Paul was generous enough to source all the cables from the MR2, so I didn't actually have to send him over the MR2's wiring harness. And he also included a polyurethane bushing for the front or the back, one of the engine mounts. So I guess this just prevents extra play when the engine has all that torque. You can see that everything is labeled. This is going to help quite a lot, but it's still fresh in my mind, so I shouldn't have an issue installing this wiring harness. But it's great that Paul has gone to the extra effort of labeling all these wires. I really appreciate that. We shouldn't really have any sort of issues installing this. We still need to install the starter, the alternator, various other little things, nothing too big. I've got it all here. I can't wait to get this done. Before I do that, I also am still like a little bit confused of bolts, because this transmission right now is just held in by like 3 bolts. One here, 2 there, and a third one just at the back here that goes in from the other side, screws in. Apparently there's 1 bolt right here that we just need to get a long boy for and just put a nut on, but underneath there isn't really any bolts that go in, so like is that enough? Alright guys, we finally moved the engine over here, so I have a little bit more light, a little bit more room to work on, cleaned out the garage. I've got the bolts over here that came off the transmission of the original one on the V6, and also the bolts that came off this one over here, the 3SGE. Like I was saying before, I've only got 1 bolt, ooh, knee crack, 1 bolt there, 2 bolts over here that have already been installed, and I need to figure out which bolt is going to go into here, so we at least have 4 bolts holding on the transmission. Then after that, I need to go ahead and go to a bolt company, the bolt company or somewhere, to find a bolt that'll go in through here and come out the other side, so I can get a nut and bolt on, just to hold the engine, well, the transmission together, and that should be good. That's all I should need. So I found the bolt that's going to be going into the transmission. It's just this one over here. I've cleaned all the Loctite off it. And of course, we're going to go ahead and place some fresh Loctite and screw it just into here. You can see how far that it goes into the transmission, which is enough, and it's the only bolt that screws into there from all the bolts that I have left over, so it seems like it's the right one. I'm probably going to just take off all these bolts and put Loctite on them one at a time, so we have no issues of them coming out ever. Alright, so I've got my 2 bolts in. Like I said, I actually managed to find a longer bolt in my mix of bolts. So we put that one, which was like pretty much identical to the one up here. So I've got these 2 bolts in, and we should be good. I'm pretty sure that's it. There's 5 bolts total holding this thing in. And we also have Mr. Lachlan over here. Should we give them a sneak peek to what's to come on this channel?
Just flash it.
Yeah, just flash it. Ready? Okay, so I finally have the bolts in with the Loctite on, and we have some visitors. We've got Mr. Lachlan, my butler, and Daniel, who's fucked up his leg. We're going to install the wiring harness now because there's nothing else that I really need to do. Oh, wait, actually, no, I need to install the alternator and the starter, and then install the wiring harness. So I'm going to do all that, and hopefully we can get all of this ready because that's the final step in getting this engine ready to put it in the MR2. So I've gone ahead and installed the starter, installed the alternator. Next thing I need to do is install all the engine mounts, and then I think I'm going to tackle the wiring harness. Or maybe I'll do that, depends on what you see in the time lapse. But Naoki's over here. He's changing all his wheels because we're going to paint them. Look at this, got the gold wheels. He doesn't want them gold anymore. He wants them bronze. Got the Porsche here as well. This is my other car. Just kidding, it's Daniel's car. Actually got too many people here, holy moly. There is even more people here now. Look at this. Can't show off that car though. We're just doing the wiring harness, and this is what I'm talking about when I say plug and play. Everything's just lining up. As you can see, plugs are going in. I know where this goes into the engine, the boot, but you can see everything's just lining up. Like for example, this is placed around near this thing, and it looks like this thing just goes here, so easy as that.
I actually wonder.
Man, look at these poor boys. Sanding away at the wheels. This is what I had to do for my wheels. We're nearing the end of installing this. Like we're just getting to the point where we've got all the plugs in, but this all goes in the boot, so I've got to have the engine actually in the car to install this stuff. This looks like it goes to the airflow sensor. I don't know where the hell all this stuff goes, but we'll figure it out. So we've finally got the engine wiring harness fully installed. Everything's all ready to go. There are a couple of just clips that I guess I have to put in when the engine is in. I'm gonna worry about it later when I've got the engine in, or I just need to figure it out in my own time. It looks like a little bit of a mess right now, but to me it makes sense. To everyone else that's done this swap before, it probably makes sense. But we're gonna conclude today's video. Massive shout out to Woodsport for sending me out this wiring harness. And if you guys wanna do a similar thing like this, make sure you contact Paul Woods. Link will be in the description. It is literally a plug and play harness. Like all the things are lining up. There's just a few things that I need to figure out, but it's literally a plug and play harness, which makes this job so much easier for myself, because doing this sort of stuff yourself is really complicated, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Anyway, a couple of things that we need to delete in the engine bay, like the igniter for the MR2, just down over here, because we're not going to be using the igniter, whatever you want to call this. We've got the Camry one, which is over. Here's the Camry one. A few little things that we need to connect to the engine, but we should be done soon. And this will be revealed in another video. This car. Got some big things happening soon. We're getting to the final stages of completing this swap, but there are a lot of little things that are getting in the way of me finally getting the engine in. So like I said, we still need to fab up those AC lines. We need to get that sorted because I'm not running the car without AC, because it will be my daily. We also need to sort out little small things like the fuel line, adapting, lots of different things. Look, it's not a hard swap, but there's just a lot of mini things that we need to sort out. It's a little bit stressful because I also have to upload these videos to you guys. So the swap isn't going to be done as quick as I thought, but we will get there in the end. On the less stressful note, let's talk about that little hidden thing that's going to be coming up soon. So as you know, Lachlan has bought something. he's bought a new car. And if you haven't been following my Instagram, you totally should, because we've been posting everything there on us getting that car. If you're following my Instagram, you already know. Link will be in the description. Anyway, that's my little rant before the end of today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Let's hope we can get this engine in as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys later.